A group of UNC students, they're working together to reduce fentanyl poisoning on campus. The Carolina Harm Reduction Union, they hand out free naloxone kits and fentanyl testing strips. They do this every Friday. They believe these kits will actually help reduce drug use on campus.
The problem we're dealing with is that there is fentanyl in the supply, and that's what we need to address. And if we can make somebody aware of that, that will prevent them from using the substance.
He says they have handed out roughly 900 naloxone and 500 fentanyl test strips this semester alone. What those UNC students are doing got us thinking. What else can be done to help young people when it comes to drugs and education? That question brought us here to these anti-drug signs from the Charlotte-Mecklenburg Police Department. A new generation of those, just say no or above the influence ads. One says, no cap, those pills are sus. Another says, you plus street pills equals we don't ship. It's like a TikTok and an infomercial had a baby. Now, if you're having a hard time translating things like we don't ship, that's kind of the point. It's not really meant for you. This is how kids are talking nowadays. This is the lingo. But will they be listening to this kind of messaging? Do these media campaigns actually keep kids away from drugs? Let's go in depth. Now, look, I think we should start here. Before we go any further, let's take a quick vocabulary class. Our teachers for this will be the WRAL interns who are both younger and cooler than me. Let's start with Gianna. You plus street pills equals we don't ship.
So me plus street pills is like we should not date. We do not ship. But if we do ship, then we're supposed to date and we should sail together, like on a ship.
Okay, so shipping is dating now.
Yep, like relationships.
Okay, good. See, it makes sense. Now, we don't want to have a relationship with drugs, get it? Then what about no cap and sus? Here's Nikaya. I think I get sus. That's like suspicious or suspect. What's no cap?
No cap, like, I'm not lying to you, bro. Like, this is suspect. Like, this is not it.
Why cap? Like a cat? Okay. No cap, those pills are sus. Basically means I'm telling you the truth. These drugs are questionable. It's very easy. Also, if you're just now realizing that I'm not cool, you should have figured that out sooner, okay? That's on you, not me. Regardless, this is not the first anti-drug campaign to try and connect with a younger generation. Just think back to when we were young. Remember this guy? Of course you do. This is McGruff, the crime dog, who surprisingly didn't bring back the trench into popular culture. If you don't recognize him, I guarantee you recognize this.
Okay, last time. This is drugs. This is your brain on drugs. Any questions?
Yeah. Was that egg free range or pasture raised? There's a difference, okay? You might also remember other campaigns like Just Say No or Above the Influence, Truth, or the DARE campaign, to just name a few. The campaign in Charlotte is known as Street Pills Kill, and it's just kind of the latest version of one of these. But do any of them work? Do teenagers really see these signs and they think to themselves, wow, that's so relatable. I guess drugs are bad and not for me. Well, study after study after study says probably not. A 2008 study published in the American Journal of Public Health found the campaign is unlikely to have had favorable effects on youths and may have delayed unfavorable effects. A 2014 analysis from the Cochrane Library looked at 19 different studies. They determined 8 studies found ads had no effect on drug use. The others had kind of mixed results. But the researchers concluded by saying caution is needed in disseminating mass media campaigns tackling drug use, meaning they could do more harm than they do good. But this might not worry you. You might say, Dan, listen, I don't rely on catchy slogans, on signs to teach my kids. I got this. I'm the parent. I was a teenager once. I'll level with them. I'll share my stories, my experiences. Maybe actually don't do that. There's a 2013 study published in the journal Human Communication Research, and they found, quote, even when there is a learning lesson, such messages may have unintended consequences for early adolescent children. And, quote, children whose parents did not disclose drug use, but delivered a strong anti-drug message were more likely to exhibit anti-drug attitudes in those kids. So maybe don't give them the old when I was your age routine, because it may make them more curious than cautious. Same goes for those heavy-handed messages like say no and don't do drugs. See, without clear facts, those messages can have the opposite effect. Look, teenagers might not have some medical degree, but they're not dumb. They know that a frying egg like this is not what a brain looks like on drugs. A 2013 article in Popular Science put it this way, quote, the ads can draw attention to a gap in what the viewer knows about drugs, making them more curious. The ads bring up the implicit question, should I do drugs? Now, research is showing that bridging the gap with facts is the best practice. Above the Influence is a good example of this. Their ads mostly show what teens could be doing instead of doing drugs, showing a kid missing out on fun with friends because he's too busy being lazy and stoned. A 2011 study in Prevention Science found that this campaign could be connected to reduced marijuana use. The Truth Campaign had some similar results. Their ads show the often brutal realities of smoking, how hard it is to quit, the medical conditions that come after. A 2009 study in the American Journal of Preventive Medicine found this campaign was a viable strategy to prevent youth smoking. Stanford is actually rolling out a program just like this. It's called Safety First. They still tell kids not to use drugs, but they go a step further. They give scientific explanations about how weed is different from cocaine, is different from tobacco, is different from alcohol, how withdrawals work, what a brain actually does when someone uses drugs. They talk about how to recognize the difference between use and abuse and how to respond to an emergency. You know who else has a program like this? The Charlotte-Mecklenburg Police Department. That's right, the no pills sus cap people. These guys are actually legit. The Street Pills Kills campaign has lessons for parents. They have drug disposal locations. They explain how fentanyl works. And because fentanyl can pop up in almost any drug or substance, they also explain how to use Narcan. That's that nose spray that can save a life from an overdose. Right now, Charlotte-Mecklenburg is working to get Narcan into their schools, which is actually something that our schools have done already. Wake, Franklin, Person, Johnston, and Cumberland County schools all have SROs that carry this Narcan stuff, which brings us back to those students at UNC. You see, they've been handing out test strips that can detect fentanyl and other substances. Now, they say they're not endorsing drug use here. Instead, they're saving lives. Now, if that sounds a bit controversial to you, let me hear your thoughts. Send me an email. We'll talk about it. Either way, it's clear that we need to take action here. Last year, an estimated 4,243 people died from an overdose in our state. At least 300 of them were aged 24 or younger. And according to the research, education, the right way, can actually bring those numbers down. No cap. Tell me what you think. Send me an email, dan@WRAL.com. We want to know your thoughts on this and any other issue that is important to you. Get in touch, and we'll go in depth. And, feel free to use any of that lingo with your kids at home. It will terrify them and embarrass them. Do it. Don't worry about it.